The Girl Who Vanished. In the quiet coastal town of Hamakase, high school student Rin Arakawa is haunted by the disappearance of his younger sister, Shiori, 1 year ago. Every night, he dreams of her voice calling from behind a maze of glowing doors. Locals whisper about the labyrinth realm, a dimension that traps lost souls between memories and reality. Rin refuses to believe in superstition and continues searching. On the anniversary of her disappearance, he visits the old lighthouse where she was last seen. There, the wind whispers her name again. Run, find me. The mysterious journal. Rin discovers Shiori's old sketchbook hidden inside her school locker. Inside are drawings of twisting corridors, clocks, and eyes watching from the walls. On the last page is a phrase written in red ink. The maze remembers. His friend Aoi, an aspiring photographer, warns him not to obsess again. But that night, as Rin studies the drawings, the ink begins to glow. A doorway made of light appears on his bedroom wall and opens into the labyrinth. Curiosity and desperation pull Rin through the doorway. He awakens in a vast, floating maze suspended above endless darkness. The corridors shift like living veins, whispering in forgotten voices. Rin realizes he's inside the very maze from Shiori's drawings. A strange masked guide named Navi appears, offering to help him find his sister for a price. Rin follows, unaware that every step deeper means losing a memory from his real life. The rules of the maze. Navi explains the labyrinth was born from human emotion, sorrow, regret, and longing. Each corridor represents a fragment of Shiori's soul, and Rin must unlock them to reach her. He's given a key made of glass that glows when near memory doors. Rin opens the first door and relives a childhood moment. The day he promised to protect Shiori during a storm. When the memory fades, the door shatters into dust. Rin feels his name start to blur in his mind. The Keeper of Echoes. As Rin ventures deeper, he encounters ghostly silhouettes. Echoes of people who entered the maze but never escaped. They repeat fragments of their regrets endlessly. One of them, a girl named Meikyū, seems aware of her state. She warns Rin that if he stays too long, he'll become an echo too. Navi dismisses her as broken data, but Rin feels she knows more than she lets on. He begins to doubt Navi's motives. The Door of Guilt. Rin's glass key leads him to a massive door shaped like a clock. Inside, time rewinds, and he sees himself arguing with Shiori before she disappeared. He remembers shouting, "You're just a burden," in anger. The memory shatters him, and guilt floods his heart. The maze seems to pulse in pain, reacting to his emotions. Rin vows, trembling, "I'll find you, Shiori, no matter what I've done." The Collector appears. A monstrous entity called the Collector hunts through the maze, feeding on human memories. It smells Rin's sorrow and begins to stalk him relentlessly. Meikyū reappears, saving him by leading him through secret corridors. She reveals that the maze is collapsing. Shiori's soul is fading. Rin asks who she really is, but she only says someone who couldn't say goodbye. Navi grows agitated, warning Rin that she's dangerous. The Mirror Room. Rin enters a hall lined with mirrors reflecting distorted versions of himself. Each reflection whispers cruel truths and twisted lies. In one, he sees a version of himself who never searched for Shiori, happy but hollow. Overwhelmed, Rin smashes the mirrors, screaming for silence. But one reflection doesn't vanish. It steps out alive. It calls itself Zero, claiming it's the part of Rin that gave up hope. The Battle of Self. Zero taunts Rin, saying that love for Shiori is just guilt wearing a mask. They fight across shifting staircases and collapsing platforms. Navi urges Rin to destroy his double, saying it's the only way forward. But Meikyū shouts, "You can't kill what's part of you." Rin realizes Zero is his self-hatred, not an enemy, but a wound to heal. He embraces Zero, merging the two halves together. His glass key burns brighter than ever. The Room of Names. Rin finds a hall filled with floating lights, each one whispering a name. When he touches one, He hears Shiori's laughter echo. Navi says this is the archive of lost souls. Rin notices Navi avoiding the lights and realizes the guide isn't human at all, but part of the maze's control system. He confronts Navi, who confesses, "I was programmed to lead souls in circles so they never escape." Rin frees Navi from its corrupted programming, and for the first time, it shows genuine emotion. Shiori's voice, now freed, Navi guides Rin to the center of the maze, a cathedral of memories. Inside, Rin hears Shiori's voice calling from beyond a wall of shifting symbols. He reaches for it, but the wall shocks him back. Meikyū warns him, if he forces entry, his real-world body will die. Rin hesitates, but decides he'd rather die, finding his sister than live, forgetting her. He pushes through the barrier, and the labyrinth trembles violently. The memory collapse. As Rin crosses into the final chamber, memories surge uncontrollably. He relives every moment he shared with Shiori, from childhood games to their last painful argument. The maze feeds on these emotions, warping them into monstrous forms. The collector returns, now enormous and fused with the labyrinth itself. Meikyū sacrifices herself to shield Rin, fading into light. Her last words tell her she wasn't alone. The heart of the maze, Rin finally finds Shiori, suspended in a crystal cocoon, surrounded by glowing roots of memory. He rushes to free her, but the collector blocks his path, roaring with the voices of the lost. Navi tells Rin the truth. Shiori entered the maze willingly, trying to find him. She was the maze's first human heart, its core of creation. Rin realizes she sacrificed herself to protect him from his own grief. Breaking the cycle, the collector binds Rin in chains of memory, forcing him to relive Shiori's death endlessly. Each loop drains his strength, but he hears Shiori's voice whisper, "Don't let sorrow define you." Rin finally breaks free, declaring, "You are not my punishment. You are my sister." He strikes the collector using the glass key, which transforms into a sword of light. The labyrinth begins to crack apart, reality bleeding through the walls. Rin carries Shiori's cocoon as the world collapses around them. The choice. At the final exit, Navi warns that only one of them can return to the real world. Shiori's life force is tied to the maze. If she leaves, the labyrinth and all trapped souls will vanish. Rin refuses to leave her again, but Shiori awakens and smiles gently. She says, "You already saved me by remembering." She gives him a glass key, now a heart-shaped crystal, and pushes him through the door. As Rin falls through light, he hears her final words, "Live for both of us." Return to Hamakase. Rin wakes up in his bed, weak and disoriented. The glowing doorway is gone, and the sketchbook lies blank beside him. Days pass, but the labyrinth memories remain vivid. Aoi visits, saying the lighthouse mysteriously crumbled overnight. When Rin returns to the ruins, he finds one remaining stone engraved with a single word, Shiori. He whispers, "Thank you," and feels the sea breeze wrap around him like her embrace. The forgotten letter. Rin later finds an envelope tucked in Shiori's old piano, addressed to him. Her letter reads, "If you ever get lost, follow the sound of my voice. The maze is only as deep as your sorrow." Tears stream down his face as he realizes she knew her fate all along. He begins sketching her again, recreating the labyrinth in art form. Each drawing brings him peace instead of pain. He decides to honor her memory by studying psychology to help others overcome loss. The Festival of Lanterns. Months later, the town holds its annual Lantern Festival for missing loved ones. Rin releases a lantern shaped like a paper maze, glowing softly. He hears a faint whisper, Shiori's voice, guiding his steps through the crowd. Suddenly, a small girl tugs his sleeve, holding a glass, key-shaped pendant. She smiles, saying, "A lady in the wind told me to give this to you." Rin looks up. A glowing labyrinth pattern forms briefly in the clouds. The new beginning. Years later, Rin becomes a counselor helping children who've lost family. He keeps the glass pendant on his desk, as a symbol of hope. One of his patients, a girl named Mika, reminds him of the echo who saved him in the maze. When she draws her dreams, they look like corridors filled with light. Rin smiles gently and says, "Maybe dreams are just doors, and we all have keys." In that moment, he realizes Shiori's gift lives on in every life he touches. Epilogue, The Labyrinth Eternal. As night falls over Hamakase, the camera pans over the sea where the lighthouse once stood. Beneath the waves, faint glowing patterns form, a maze shimmering like starlight. Shiori's voice narrates softly. The labyrinth never ends, it just changes shape. As long as love remembers, the path remains open. Rin stands on the shore, smiling at the horizon. The wind carries her laughter, and the screen fades to white. Title card, Meikyū no Shiori, The Path Home Begins Within.